20 years ago, being an adult, what's the difference now? I think that like the proliferation of porn is pretty exponential. When you think about just how you can get free porn. We could all have a porn hub off right now. We could all pull up. We could just like within 10 seconds you're playing porn, and I come from the dial up. Is that a tit? Oh, can I touch myself, Dave?
You get a hustler mag.
But now it is just so, and if you want that, you can have it in your hands, literally in 30 seconds. And so I was like,
bang the hose, or
what do you mean?
Like, how do you have?
Do you say bang the hose?
No, bang.
Oh, pain the hose.
No, like how do you have a tit in your hand like in 30 seconds?
No, I meant on your screen.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Right.
Not literally.
I was like, if in my oh my god, I need that technology, man.
I gotta get that. Yeah, I gotta get that Apple update. Yeah. Press the button that pops out. You're like, fuck yeah.
Yeah, squeak.
Yeah.
Pretty.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Wilkoz World.
We're live, baby.
We are live. Well, we're live right in the moment.
Yeah.
But after the fact. Anyway, so we've got a new guest here, Thommy Waite.
What's happening, brother?
Not much. I'm sitting at a table with 3 other men.
Yeah. Sweet.
So
how are you?
Good, man. Good. It's what I do. I feel it would be nice to get some women in here once in a while. We got one floating around, but that's it. My cat. And obviously we got a fan favorite come back. That's Kishan. What's up, baby? How are you?
Chilling, man.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me, man.
Brought him back. I just like this dude. I'm
really happy that there's an author finally on this podcast. Like you've got a diverse range of people that you're bringing. Last week was some boxers, motherfuckers gonna fuck you up. And now people are gonna educate you about their life, about their histories. And Cade, man, there's only one way up, man. It's only one way, and that's up, mate.
So Thommy, just out of curiosity, what was the initial spark that kind of pushed you over that motivational hill in your own mind to start this project as a book? So any day you can die, it's for the cameras.
Yeah, right.
Shameless plug.
There you go.
Times 4.
There you are.
Yeah. So I was living in Medellin, Colombia. I moved there in 2017, and I was there for 3 years, and it was a pretty interesting time to be there because pre-COVID, obviously, and it was becoming a really popular place for digital nomads to like live and work there. So, which I guess technically I was one of them, and it was just interesting. It was kind of like reminded me of stories of people going to India or Afghanistan in like the 60s or 70s, and kind of like a mass mobilization of
like a spiritual
expats.
Awakening thing as well?
That's a part of it to a lesser degree in terms of like, you know, shifting away from the ideology of like the 9 to 5, blah, 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 and trying to do something different. And so I was like, this is interesting. But when I was living there, there was a story of this lad who was roughly my age from Perth, who was on the run from the cops somewhere. I think it was Australian media was reporting on it. And I was like, that's fucking a trip. I think he was in the mountains. Medellin's in a valley. So he's outside of the valley in the mountains hiding out from the police. And I assumed the narcos as well. So that was kind of like the click for me. I was like, what has led this dude who grew up in Perth at approximately the same time as myself to be in that situation? And Was it you? I fucking escaped, and I'm trying to like hide in plain sight. I wrote this crazy book about this motherfucker.
You're in Narcos, right?
Yeah, no. But so anyway, to answer your question, that was the spark. When I heard that, I was like, oh, that's my entry point to like write about a bigger kind of like cultural story. Is this dude? Yeah.
Wicked, man. So like so you're living in Perth. You decide you're gonna pack up your bags and just go. Was it straight to Colombia, or did you go somewhere else?
I grew up in Perth, but I went to Sydney to finish my studies. I lived there for a couple of years, and I moved to New York for 7 years. And then me and my missus, we had a kid, and we came back to Perth to have the child because the American healthcare system is bullshit. And so then we were like, what are we going to do? New York just kind of got less cool and more expensive when you've got a child. And so we were like, I'd been to Colombia once on a solo trip and enjoyed my time there and thought, fuck it. We work online. Let's try something new. If it doesn't work out, we could go somewhere else. And So yeah, that's what led me to Colombia. I was in New York, and then we went down to.
Were you worried? I guess I don't really know enough about it, but like, were you worried about like safety or anything like that? I mean, I know I wouldn't. If I was to have a child, I wouldn't bring them back to South Africa. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. Well, because I'd gone on my first solo trip, the first time I went down by myself, I was like, what the fuck am I stepping into? I did minimal research. My missus actually said, because she was coming back to Australia, and it was hot. It was like February, and she was going to get some warm weather in Perth, and it was fucking balls freezing cold in Brooklyn. And I was like, I'm going somewhere warm. And she's like, oh, you should go to Colombia. It's popular now. Check out Medellin. So on that first trip, when I was by myself, I was like, what is like... I was on the plane going like, I know nothing about this place. I don't know any Spanish. And I've just heard dangerous, bad things about this place. But I got there and it's not like that at all. It had changed so much. And I guess the caveat being that it had become a really safe and accommodating place for tourists in most places. If you want to find trouble, you'll definitely find it. It's still, Colombia is still the number one exporter of coke in the world. And so has all those issues that come along with it. And so that's kind of what I explore in the book is like, if you want to be safe, you can live in this really comfortable bubble and you can use currency arbitrage to get by on not a lot, especially if you're working for an American or European company. Yeah. But if you want to find trouble, you find it too. But I had no issues when I was there.
Yeah, wow. Wow, and you said you work online as well, so that's what kind of fun. What do you do online?
Yeah, so I my boring day job is I write blog content for e-commerce businesses, and so that's basically my my job. What
percentage, considering you've been doing that for quite a long time right now, Thommy, the blogging, what percentage of the net? I know that's like a lofty question, but is it like, you reckon you're up there in terms of a specific niche and a topic of content that's posted online?
Yeah, in my very small subset, I think that's the way to, well, but I guess it depends what you mean by up there in terms of like
the amount of content that's out there.
No, I wouldn't say the amount, but more just like I know a lot about one specific thing related to Amazon mainly. And that's basically but it's good. I find that writing kind of boring, but doing the boring stuff that pays the bills has actually helped my creative writing a lot as well. Because it's like, it's kind of like you're writing about this kind of like boring business stuff, and you kind of want a release to do something more interesting, but then it also like teaches you important stuff in terms of economy of words and just like getting your point across quickly and all that shit as well. So yeah, I write full time, and but this is the fun stuff.
Yeah, cool, and man.
Just coming to the fun stuff, just out of curiosity. So you went on this enormous trip where you traveled a lot. Do you, in your mind, when you're trying to get it in like an imaginative mindset, do you just go from the initial base memory and then you kind of extrapolate out from there and build a fictitious storyline, or?
Yeah, the way I do it is I basically, my flashes of inspiration usually come with some type of story arc, like a beginning and middle and end. And it's that it often kind of, there's lots of room to move within there. But yeah, when I have like my ideas, they generally come in like story form. And so that's, I just try and ride that when I get it.
How did you, were you good in English in school or anything like that?
Yeah. I was pretty good at like, I always enjoyed creative writing, and then I guess you get the validation from other people where you're like, you're pretty good at this. And so when you retrace your steps later in life, you're like, well, they just being nice to me. And I was like, fuck, I got a bit of validation. I'm great at this. But it's kind of like a placebo. It doesn't really matter at the end of the day, because I was like, well, I think by you saying that, whether it's true or not, it now is true in my mind. Yeah. So I often think that like if like one person didn't say something to me when I was like 12, would I be, would I be like, oh, I'm shit at this and like go on to something else? So I don't really know. But yeah, as far as I can remember, like trying to be as objective as possible, I was decent at English.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Cool enough. Yeah, I can see you're reading the back of the book. What were you looking at?
It says a lot of things, like under the cloak of shame of cryptocurrency, Tony and his associates begin living out their wildest fantasies. Like for me, when I look at the book, I just see it's like the whole thing literally just portrays the story, right?
Yeah, that's the blur.
Any day you can die, but look at the pictures.
Yeah,
Like,
but
I don't know.
Kishan,
Kishan,
just out of curiosity, Kishan, bro. Like when it comes to, because this flows to any kind of creative writing or any books that are published, dude. Yeah. Especially by someone like Thommy.
Yeah, and to be honest, it's an honor to be in a room with somebody who has a published
100%.
book.
But my question to you,
seriously,
to you,
it is.
It's actually really
Thanks,
legit.
dude.
My question to you, Kishan, is: do you feel like television and movies need more richer storyline these days? Do you feel like it's lacking a little bit? Because it's been a while since I've actually watched a real gripping, enthralling kind of movie. I don't know about you, Thommy, but I feel like Hollywood's a bit bland, you know?
I watched a movie today that was really good. It's called I'm No Longer Here. It's a Mexican story because I was learning Spanish when I was living in Colombia, but now I think it's almost like a case of wanderlust being stuck in Perth with the hard border and shit. I'm like, I can't wait to travel again. So I'm relearning Spanish pretty aggressively. And so I watched this Mexican movie in Spanish with Spanish subtitles. So I'm kind of not cheating. I'm like, I have to try and listen to the Spanish and like get the words so I can try and improve. And that was a really good story because even though it was kind of like a gritty drama about this kid who kind of like, he's in this dancing subculture and then he runs afoul of like the narcos in his little town and he has to kind of escape to the States and lie low so his family doesn't get killed. I was because I've been so conditioned to like Hollywood fairy tale stories, I was like, even though it's this gritty beginning and like, I was like, they're going to fucking sop it up and there's going to be something kind of like cheesy at the end, but it wasn't. It wasn't like a completely disastrous, nightmarish ending like my book may or may not be, but it was
like old Yeller.
It was surprising because it didn't go down the Disney path, and it was refreshing, and it was a fucking good movie.
Yeah, man.
That's exactly what I'm talking about, because as soon as it gets within the Hollywood machine, there's so many different types of perspectives that come in, and it just becomes watered down to the point where it just detracts from the art form, if you know what I mean.
This art form does seem subculture that is fueled by sex, drugs, and currency.
Yeah,
it's facts though.
I love that, man. Everything is like kind of a sexual indo, but like not really. Do you know what I mean? There's a lot of sex, drugs, and rock and roll in this book.
Yeah, there's plenty. There's plenty. You know, like the because I think about like when I was like writing the book and I was like thinking about what are like the main kind of like cultural shifts in terms of how we live our life. You know, 20 years ago, being an adult, what's the difference now? I think that like the proliferation of porn is pretty exponential. When you think about just how you can get free porn. We could all have a porn hub off right now. We could all pull up. We could just like within 10 seconds you're playing porn, and I come from the dial-up. Is that a tit? Oh, can I touch myself, Dave?
You get a hustler mag.
Oh yeah.
But now it is just so, and if you want that, you can have it in your hands, literally in 30 seconds. And so I was like,
bang the hose, or
what do you mean?
Like, how do you have?
Do you say bang the hose?
No, bang.
Oh, pain the
like
pain
how
the
do you,
hose.
No, like how do you have a tit in your hand like in 30 seconds?
No, I meant on your screen.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
right.
Not literally.
I was like, if in my oh my god, I need that technology, man.
I gotta get that. Yeah, I gotta get that Apple update.
Yeah.
Press the button that pops out. You're like, fuck yeah.
Yeah, squeak.
Yeah.
Pretty fascinating though, because Thommy, you raise a valid point, man. Like initially, from what I've heard, I've only heard this anecdotally through other people that are older than me, that when porn became so accessible, like there was a pushback from females because just in general, females give access to sex. Like,
you know,
hands
the most
down.
funny thing is,
You know?
I still assume that females watch more porn than men.
You reckon?
That's
I reckon
not true.
now's the case.
Yeah.
I reckon now.
That's not true.
No, that's not true at all.
I don't know, man.
That's
I don't
crazy.
know, man.
That's the worst conspiracy theory I've ever heard. Dude.
I guess you're.
I will
That's why I
bet.
said I assume, man.
I'll bet you your gold chain that's not true.
Wait, hold on. No, explain.
I'm-
Everyone gets a free shot. Explain. What do you
I
mean?
don't know, man. Like,
Everyone gets a
because
free shot.
there's some shorties that I speak to, and then because they're so like in tune with what they're doing, their career progressions, they don't really need a dude, and I just
Well, so they're oppressed.
Oh, so you mean like strong
if they're
independent
a
women?
pretty
just
girl,
masturbate,
man.
you know,
If they're, no, but if they're a pretty girl, dude, I mean, they're gonna have so much access to dating multiple dudes or whatever they want to do initially.
The funny thing is,
Yeah, but most chicks don't want to date multiple dudes.
yeah, prettiest girls.
I mean, yeah. So,
the ones
they
who-
say to men to make sure that they're
bro,
viable.
the prettiest girls are the most fucked up ones in their head, bro.
You think so?
Tell me I'm wrong.
Explain your logic.
Actually, no.
Explain your
Okay,
logic.
okay. I don't know,
What
man.
does this have to do with Colombia? But we'll go into it.
Okay, yeah, fuck it.
No,
man.
go.
Keep going. I'm listening.
I don't know. I just feel like you have to be somebody really, like for a woman, for example. Okay, we're talking about drugs and all this porn shit.
Yeah.
Right.
I just wear anything and I can walk out of the door, right? But women tend to have this pressure and they have to like put on this second phase of who, like a makeup or whatever they are. They're not raw, you know what I mean? So when you see a woman who's raw and you understand who this person really is, so much more different to what the person is when she's all dressed
So
up.
what you're getting at is for everyone to choose a counterpart. They need to dress them out of their
I'm
makeup.
just saying,
And
I don't
go,
know. I
"Oh,
assume.
this
I really
is
think
what
so.
got."
I don't know about the porn industry or anything like that. But I really think so that nowadays women.
No, I'll agree.
Are
I
really
will agree with you.
career
'Cause I
focused
remember,
and they don't need men in their
I remember
life, man.
hearing something about what you were saying, Kishan, in that because there's a culture of uncertainty around men approaching women these days, right? Since like the whole Me Too movement and stuff like that, because there's such of that culture that women might seek out, videos online that kind of validate or fill the kind of
Fantasy or
the fantasy that's not there in that way, if that makes sense. And that could be sort of true.
Right.
Right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's hard because I'm not a woman, so I don't know. And I haven't really talked to many women about watching porn, but I think like I think Kishan, you got a point, mate, because a lot of people are going a lot more down the independent route. So a lot of women are deciding that they want to do what's best for them career-wise. A lot more women are more outgoing nowadays. They want to be in positions of power and stuff, and that's not a bad thing. But, I mean, you have to remember that you do have a biological clock as well. So you're going to have to it's not really a sacrifice, but once you hit about the mid-30s, you're kind of going, fuck, like I've done all this, now what? So it's a fine line, but do I necessarily think that they're watching porn? I think they're probably more so getting ahead. I think guys will probably spend more time fucking...
Oh, probably.
The only reason guys get into those positions of power is because they want more pussy, bro. Like that's a big thing. Yeah.
For the fantasy, the girls are watching The Bachelor, not porn. That's
true. Women want more of an emotional kind of story behind it. I do see that.
Romance and shit.
But the reason I brought up porn is that I find that when I'm this is like I'm not sure whether I should go back or whether we should just keep going down there. But basically I've read a lot of books where it could be like in a modern kind of environment and lots of like modern shit. But then when it came to like sex scenes or talking about like lust, it would be like Jane Austen shit. It would be like going back 200 years. I'd be like, this doesn't correlate with how I think modern people think about sex.
The only sex book I can think of is 50 Shades of Grey. Is it kind of like...
No, because that's about kink. Like there's nothing kink. Like I guess
Jane Austen's more traditional, isn't it?
Yeah, well, Jane Austen is more just kind of like flowery language and in
poetry and
shit. and like mixing up emotions with physicality. And I think that the digital world, Tinder, Grindr, whatever, has made things more transactional. And so when people think about like, oh, I'm feeling I'm feeling jangly in my jangles. Yeah. they're not necessarily going to be like, I need to go to the pub and strike up a conversation. It's not like a relationship has to be formed. It's more transactional. It just needs to be this needs to be out of me. And so I tried to put that into the book where it's like sex is an impulse that can be fulfilled by yourself through the help of digital media very efficiently. And so if you are someone who's been doing that regularly, then that's going to change how you engage with the world and women specifically.
100%. And then also, Thommy.
Can I just ask you a straight question? Do you swing?
No.
No, I was going to say, you could get along hell good with Jesse, eh? Be swaying and shit. But you got a real positive outlook. But the way that I can kind of see how you're bringing it back, Kishan, because it's a lot more, you're right. what you touched base, you said it's a lot more of a transaction now because it's just yes, no, yes, no, yes, no. And it's becoming more like open nowadays. You know, if I talk about sex, you know, people 30 years ago, oh God, no. It's like talking to white people about politics. They're just weird about it. You know what I mean? Yeah. So the same thing.
Super weird.
Yeah. And the same thing is, Dave Chappelle said that best. But you're 100% right. And in that situation of because it's more marketable, you'll see in TVs, movies, music, everything is becoming more highly sexualized. Like look at Nicki Minaj or Cardi B or I'm trying to think of other highly sexualized. Well, it's even was like that
because sex sells, man.
Yeah, but it was like that since the 90s. But like early 90s and stuff when I was growing up, like you'd have the Spice Girls who would have Spice Girl lollipops, and then they would have the stuff they would sell to kids and stuff like that. But now it's just like I noticed something in 2010.
Yeah.
Where it was almost every single song in 2010 was like da 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 da. Let's get fucked up, or let's do drugs, or let's fuck each other. And that was just like all 2010, bro.
There is a cultural influence when it comes to music.
Yeah, but like it's becoming so in your face that it's like it's kind of it would be confusing as well for many women that are kind of go, well, is it a judge of like, I mean, who you want to have sex with, you can have sex with. It's not a reflection of like who you are. But it is like, it must be really conflicting because we have a lot of slut shaming nowadays as well, especially in Western society.
We do, but then there's also the rise of like OnlyFans and shit like that, where like OnlyFans is a really good example because it is basically, well, I guess it depends how you look at it because I think you're cutting out the middleman, right? In terms of if you want to be a sex worker, you can basically shoot your own, you can do equivalent of this. Maybe we'll do this a bit later.
Probably more safely as well.
But yeah, you can do everything you can do it on your own terms. You can control the pricing and you know, direct relationship. And what I've noticed on like the one Reddit subreddit thing, someone was saying, in a world of free porn, why are you giving these girls like $5 a month? Like,
that argument
what's the logic there? And people have responded, like the top rated responses were all like, oh, it's like a more personalized feel.
An emotional connection.
It's kind of like this thing where you kind of like, it's Instagram, it's Instagram plus almost, where you kind of like, hey guys, I just got done shooting a dildo scene. And like, so what's weird is that I think guys actually kind of like that because it's kind of like their digital girlfriend.
Yeah.
Where they're like, yeah, I can give you, it's cheaper than a real girlfriend. Don't have to take you to the fucking Morley Tavern for a palmy. That's going to send me back $35. But
for a palmy.
but either way, you can give them $5. You can feel like you're kind of like contributing in a sense. And you also do get this like, and it's obviously highly fabricated and pretty much false, but it's the illusion of a relationship. So you don't have to go through the messiness of like having to fucking engage with people in real life and deal with their bullshit. You can just be like, show us your tits, dildo scene, that's awesome. Here's $5, and you had a fun hike the other day.
Yeah.
Learned about that. That was cool.
But surely that's got to be detrimental to people's vision and relationships.
100%.
I was just going to say, Toby, like for me, right, if I look at the advent of OnlyFans, I think to myself logically why that's happened. You could make a pretty sound argument that because a lot of people growing up, especially in the early 2000s, had access to so much pornography that they've become desensitized to the point where sex isn't an issue, like you said earlier, and people are drifting more towards online emotional connection, which they might get from an online girlfriend, so to speak, on OnlyFans, which is absolutely crazy, but it is what it is.
Yeah. I'm not necessarily saying it's a good thing, but I think that if people aren't getting their rocks off in terms of like...
If it solves the problem of people going crazy...
Going back to sex is a lot more... open in Colombia and Brazil and stuff like that.
That's what's really interesting in terms of like just the way they view sex and they're kind of like, it's a sexualized culture, and the women are I guess groomed or like encouraged to make their appearance like the number one priority. And so it was like I was a married guy with a kid when I was there, but then like I was mates with single guys and kind of like observe like the
That must have been really hard though.
No, but to be honest, like it was funny because like you'd walk down the street and see a beautiful girl and be like, oh wow, she's amazing. I'd like to get to know her better. But then I'd speak to my single friends who'd been dating like stunners, and then you'd hear about all the bullshit. And you'd be like, oh, there it is.
Yeah.
There it is. Like, and fortunately, I'm in a really good relationship, so I didn't. But it's kind of this weird thing where there's a massive trade off, and then also like the gringo guys are at a disadvantage because there's a cultural massive learning curve. There's the language, and then like just learning all that stuff as well. So
that's what I was saying. Remember when I was saying the prettiest girls are always the most fucked up ones? You just brought it back up, man. Yeah. All this bullshit. That's what I'm talking about. Fucked up, man.
Yeah. There's definitely a few femme fatales in the book which I kind of like, which I described the trap that guys can fall into. But it's, to be honest, it's like that's the trap guys set for themselves as well in terms of like, I don't know, like the whole phrase like simping is completely out of control in terms of like, if you like just open a door for a woman, you're a fucking simp.
Yeah. No, that's like, not true. That's being, I mean, I kind of reckon our parents had it right in a weird way. Call me old school or South African, one of the two. But I don't think it's wrong to be able to just go, hello, princess, how are you going? But I don't want a girl that's telling me that I can't flatter her and do shit. If you open up for it, like just say you're on a first date, you open up a girl, open up a door and you say, and you
open her up.
None of us get that lucky.
Open her up.
Sorry, all right, you're here. Open you up. Here's your party.
sorry. Anyway, so you open the door and she goes, excuse me, I can do that for myself. Yeah. And everyone in the restaurant's looking at you like,
what? Yeah.
Yeah, she's
bro,
right.
Then I would literally just say, yo, you can eat yourself too, man. I'm out of here, man.
Yeah.
I don't take no bullshit.
He doesn't simp. He ain't no simp.
Yo, when you guys talk about simp, like, okay, even in my friend circles, like I hear I hear a lot of music. So what's simp to you guys, man?
So the strict urban dictionary definition, I've looked at it.
Really?
Is I have looked at it.
Was it like Dr. Google, you're self-diagnosing yourself?
That's the sign of a simp right there. Someone has looked up the definition.
So it's
you just out
Mason, you need to stop being on the YouTube highlight reels, bro.
Being excessively
here we go.
excessively nice towards a person without any like objective or outcome.
Okay.
Yeah, but the funny thing with
but the only funny thing
that would
is
make
that
me a shrimp.
The only thing is funny is that you guys talk about simps and you look down on them, but then when Pop Smoke says he's gonna like spend $250K on a girl and like dress up, fended out Dior's, and then
the thing.
Then you're like, wait,
that's the thing. Kishan.
No, that's fucked up.
Nah, he made the man makes that
point. That's fucked up, man.
That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying from like
people out here, man.
How good is Pop Smoke, by the way?
No, that people. Amazing. Yeah. There are people out here who are spending millions on shorties, man. Millions.
Yeah, but that's
on
that's,
girls.
But that's not,
they are making millions too. They're
that's
alpha
a flex
males.
on other
that's the flex
too.
though. That's the difference there is that they're not doing that to be like, oh, I hope this like what is Future? Future gives his bitches his 150K watches, and so it's like that. It's more a case of like I don't care about this woman, and I'm gonna give her a 150K watch. And I still don't care about it.
Just to keep her mouth shut.
I still fuck your bitch.
Yeah.
Don't cancel my Gucci slide.
The other thing with the term,
I was smashing
the other thing with the term, which I really find fascinating, and I think that Tommy might be able to somewhat agree with what I'm about to say, is that when it comes to the word simp, so when you're first starting out in your dating life, right, you want to kind of be seen as like the lover rather than the provider, yeah?
No.
I think if you like a girl, genuinely, you don't give a fuck about simping or flexing. You just you act.
I like that, man.
Organically, you just like I like you. What am I like? Of course, there's cultural constraints where you live is going to determine how you express that shit. But
that's what I'm saying. I'm saying like being a provider is not a bad thing because it's the foundation of a good, solid family unit. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but I think that if
that's
you're
not simping.
If you're, I guess don't worry about this shit. Like, it would be the most concise way that I would say it.
To be fair, the man's got a point.
Yeah, because if you're playing this dating game bullshit, then I guess you might be like, oh, this bitch thinks I'm simping. Because you're just using each other for sex, then you might want to engage with that game. But if you're wasting any like meaningful bandwidth worrying about this shit. There's plenty more stuff you could be doing.
Yeah,
that would just get
stuff.
you more fucking pussy or get you more whatever you want.
No, you're right.
Rather than just being like, oh fuck, just go to the gym.
You're right.
To be fair, if you're worrying about, if you're going, fuck, bro, am I simping? Bro, you're simping, bro. If you're worried about simping, you're simping.
Yeah, exactly.
100%.
And it's even more pathetic when you're like, oh, am I simping? Is my girl going to think I'm a simp? It's even more pathetic to be like, I gave my girl a gift, or I like stayed in and had dinner with her. And then you're like, oh, do my bros think I'm simping?
No, but that's the problem, because everyone's so leftist now that people want to be like a little bit fucking... And they're so worried about what you can and can't do now. I think people are so distracted about what other people think. It's because, I mean...
Social media, man.
Yeah, exactly, man. But like, being a simp, like, you know, dude, if you're a simp, but... It's catching on, man. Like these little trends
but
are catching on.
I think every man in their life once has been a simp, man.
But that's what I was talking about.
Yeah,
that's
totally.
100%, man.
Lifespan of like
that's
a dude.
100%.
Like
man.
the lifespan of a dude can't be just Hugh Hefner forever unless you're fucking Hugh Hefner, and that's the exception to a very broad rule. Most people. I'm saying that you can't be the fucking lover forever
So
necessarily.
you're saying Hugh Hefner simped at one point in his life?
No, I'm saying that he didn't. I'm saying that he
saying
didn't.
everyone else did.
Yeah, I'm
except
saying it's the
Hugh.
exception. Exception to the rule. Yeah.
Yeah. Fuck.
But yeah,
Dan Bilzerian. Shout out to Dan Bilzerian, man.
Oh, apparently,
God,
man, he'd be
what a
simping
fraud.
hard.
Dan Bilzerian's a fraud. Anyway, so this book
Got some pretty women, though.
So when it comes to writing dialogue, Thommy, how do you kind of like imagine the characters talking? What's the best way that you kind of create dialogue? Is it pretty natural, or do you imagine like you're a fictitious character just right beside you and you just kind of banter with it? How do you do it?
Yeah, there's this my favorite writer, Irvin Welsh. She's got this kind of like guiding principle when it comes to characters. It's like where they play, what they play, where they stay, and who they lay. It's like where they live, what they play, what music do they play, what media do they engage with, and who they lay. Like what's their partner, sexual partner, or like wannabe sexual partner, who are they lusting after. And so I think that like when I write dialogue, I always try and think about like immediately before the scene, what was each individual character like going?
Yeah.
It's like
Is it based on you?
No, it takes like it's a really like I was kind of lazy in terms of like because the guy who was kind of like loosely inspired it, the guy who was on the run was from Perth. I was like, I'll just like use some biographical kind of like points, but I twisted them for my own advantage to suit the story. But it was definitely based on like people I met and kind of like infamous characters that were running around Medellin when I was living there. But it's definitely a very much a fictional kind of like tale. Yeah,
I'm looking forward to reading it. I really am. Really am.
Yeah, but that's the weird thing about a book as well. You write a book and you're like, yeah, it feels like setting homework for people. You're like read it if you want. I don't give a It's been really cool pushing out into the world. Like, I've got friends in Mexico. I've got friends in the States and Europe through this book, and so it's been a massive. It's been a huge win for me, and it's always awkward when you meet someone, you give them the book, and you're like, I'm gonna read it. I feel like a teacher.
Yeah,
I'm like, but dude, don't do your homework when you feel like it.
Dude,
I always fucking hated homework, and I don't like to feel like the.
I want to. Yeah. Okay.
Sorry.
I just wanted to. I'm really curious about like the business on the dark web. So you want to talk more about that? How?
Yeah. So basically,
sex trafficking and stuff.
No. Well, basically,
the dark web.
The loose plot of the book is this guy moves to Medellin. He moves into a share house with these other gringo guys. One's an American, one's a Canadian, one's a Brit. And so there's 4 of them living in this share house. They're all fucked up in their own ways. And then the Australian guy, the main character, he's completely lost and aimless. And then he's trying to write a book and he doesn't really feel inspired enough to kind of like do anything meaningful. But then he realizes this kind of world he's living in is really interesting and that's what he should be writing about. So he starts kind of like spying on Facebook on all these kind of like characters who he's kind of like hate following them on Facebook and kind of being like, oh, look at these dickheads. But like he has a situation where he like stares into the abyss for too long and then he becomes kind of like the person he hates essentially. And so because he's hanging around with all these like these kind of like business entrepreneurs and people trying to get stuff off the ground. He takes the idea of like drop shipping, but thinks about like, well, what if I did that but with drugs, and was able to kind of like be the digital marketing arm of an operation where I didn't have to touch anything dirty. I didn't have to like do any of the manufacturing or the shipping or the fulfillment. I could just be the guy facilitating the sale. So he basically, it's kind of like a comment, or I'm sounding like a writer douchebag. It sounds like a comment on but basically it's the idea that like digital nomads have found a way to kind of like manipulate other people's labor and be like, oh, I'll just be the guy on my laptop and get all the money. So basically he does that, and lots of people are selling shit on Amazon and Medellin, fucking, kids' toys or fucking kitchen utensils on Amazon. He's like, fuck that, I'm going to sell some fucking Class A Coke. And it works. And so that's kind of the
I can imagine all the trouble he gets in, and
so that's kind of that was the fun part of writing the novel, is that like I had kind of like a very basic background in my kind of like niche space in digital marketing, but I was able to kind of extrapolate that and be like, well, if I was going to do this, what would I do? And so that was a kind of fun thought experiment, but then also like to do research and be like, how do people sell stuff on the dark web? What type of people do you need to help you? And then like what potential problems would arise from that?
Fuck yeah, that sounds like my kind of book, man. That's sick.
The other interesting thing too, which you said, Thommy, recently, was that when you feel as though you're giving someone a book, you feel like you're giving them homework. So I find that hilarious, because I've only recently started getting back into reading, and there's so many benefits from reading. Just because, I mean, everyone goes on and on about young people, especially millennials, attention span dwindling. Dude, the one way to improve your attention span is reading. Because if you think about it, you're solitarily focusing on one thing for hours on hours, if the book's good, obviously. But
no, it's great. And I think that, if I read a lot when I was a kid, and then I got basically throughout my 20s, I got lost in the digital world and lurking online and just kind of like
lurking?
Just like being on social media but not posting. And so just kind of like, and I've found, and this is what I write about a lot, the main character in the book is like a hate watcher and a lurker, where he'll be like laughing at other people doing stuff and like posting stuff about their lives, but he's not really taking any chances with his own life. And he's like considers himself an artist and like a fucking writer, but he's not doing anything. And he's caught between worlds essentially. He's not doing what he wants to do in this kind of like artistic world, and he's not in the digital world either. So he's like in no man's land. And so I was personally I felt myself in there. And so like through the process of writing the book and like meeting other writers, and it kind of like rekindled the love of books for me. And just the importance of, and I don't think that's because like you look back to those old like photos of people on the subway in the 1920s, everyone's got a fucking newspaper in their face, and it's just the same as a smartphone now. So I don't think you want to throw out the baby with the bathwater. You don't want to be like, just because this is an Apple product and like it's on Facebook, it's not necessarily a complete shit. But I find a real value of like diving into a book, because it's kind of like an immersive world with less distractions on your phone. Like on your phone, you could be in an engrossing article and then a fucking ding, ding, you're getting WhatsApp messages or whatever that's going to pull you away. With a book, once you're into it, you can kind of like lock in and you're not going to run into ads. So it's kind of it's not for everyone, and maybe it's a dying thing, but I'm enjoying it. So I try not to be too, I'm not trying to proselytize too much about it, but I like books.
Yeah. Well, I don't think it'll ever like die out permanently, because people will always have to write scripts for YouTube videos. They have to write scripts for movies. They have to write scripts for everything. So the art form of writing is not going to die.
Just like how somebody learns, you know, if somebody learns through audio, then they like audiobooks. Somebody learns through reading, then they read.
Exactly. I try and be non-judgmental about it. Like
everyone understands and perceives in such different ways, and I still think books are going to be there for like generations and generations to come. Maybe not in a paper format, but still in in a tablet or whatever, but still books will be. Yeah, we'll be able to.
love
bring
it.
Is there an audio book on this?
Yeah, I'm actually just about to finish it. Yeah,
Oh,
so
cool.
I narrated it myself. It took fucking forever. If you're gonna do an audio book, just be prepared. It's like recording the audio book of the book I've already written was almost harder than writing the fucking book. It was insane.
How you're writing the book is how I talk. Like I just opened up the first page, and I think this will be. I just see just dumb frat boy shit. Anyway. This club became the Proud Boys. Like, it's just like, it just seems like you're talking to a dude. Like, and I think like for me, I'm one of the people that will go, okay, if I read a whole page and it's super annoying, bro, I'll read a whole page and I'll read the second page and then I'll go, fuck did I just read? You know what I mean? That's really frustrating, man. Like, cause self-development and growth is very, very important to me. And I know I have to pick up these books and learn, but there's no fucking explosions in these books, you know what I mean? But something like this, like I would, you know what, actually, my parents did make me read, and it was the most far-fetched, silly books you can imagine. It was by an author called Willard Price, and it would...
Okay, sit down, Kate. We're going to read some Willard Price. Is that how it starts? Family, dinner's finished now. Everybody sit there. It's time. It's Willard Price hour. Sorry, bro. I just needed to do the Saffir accent.
Sorry, bro.
Fuck. Got me. No, literally, it was a 100%, bro. It was literally about these two brothers that would go out and they would go and catch animals. This is sounding more South African.
Oh, totally. And then we had a Wilkoz break after chapter 1.
No, you just emphasize the R too much.
Never mind. Just... Nah, just next.
No, dude. But yeah, no, it's fucking. I think what's interesting is that like I've got a 4-year-old kid now, and he is a little fucking digital fiend. Like he loves his iPad. He loves like YouTube Kids, and so I'm like, wow, you're gonna just fundamentally have a different relationship with books than I did because Does
he read ebooks and stuff?
He's 4 years old. He doesn't read shit. But I was like, I second guessed myself. It's like, should my kid be reading it for? No, they don't read that young. But yeah, I'm gonna like read to him. Like I was talking with Mason before. I'll read him the Harry Potter books and shit like that. But
because that came up because I'm reading the Harry Potter books.
Are you really?
Yeah, I'm a little child right now.
But I guess my point is that
I'd rather just watch it, man.
Nah, dude, you miss out so much by not.
Yeah.
Oh my God, Mason.
You just made it come.
This is like
he just simped for his beer.
Oh fuck.
Okay, so Thommy, you said you're a digital
nomad.
Not nomad, but you're into digital marketing space.
Yeah,
you write a lot. So basically, like copywriting, but for businesses. And what are you seeing the new trends, the kind of industries that are blowing up in the e-commerce phases? Because nowadays I talk to I just randomly talk to people, right? And if they could be like a few women, and they would feel like they're Instagram models and they want to have this lingerie business going on and things, but they don't understand the fucking work that it takes to fucking sell a product, right? Everyone just thinks it's so easy. Oh, I'm just going to go and drop ship. Oh, okay. But how do you see the trends moving? Which industries do you see right now sparking up? Which industries do you see that they're moving products? Maybe the margins are a little bit low, but the volumes are high, so they still make a lot of money.
Yeah, well, I guess like I talk about this a little bit in the book in sense of my expertise, but I think the worrying trend that's happening across the board is like the rise of platforms in respect to like there's a marketplace model across every different industry that you can possibly imagine right now. Yep. Like with Amazon, there's like a marketplace model where you have all these different sellers, they're bidding on the best price. And so like, and it's the same with like Uber, it's the same with Tinder. And it basically what's happened is that like people figured out that if you can have this model where there's like all the different options in a single place, and it's an engaging interface where it's like I create my account, I can browse everything really easily, I can find exactly what I want, Uber, where I want to go, who's close to me, all that shit. If you figure that out, then and you're like the first one to kind of like build the winning marketplace, then all the people selling, if you're an Uber driver, everyone has to be on Uber. If you're a sex worker, everyone has to be on fucking OnlyFans. And so I think that's the real kind of like issue in the e-commerce world, is that there's a mass kind of like monopoly across every different space with like one major player. And so no matter what you're selling, if you're an author, if you're a fucking cab driver, if you're a sex worker, most of them are reliant on one single platform.
Is that being a sex worker though? Like being an only, is that a sex worker being?
Well, it's compare. Look, people do compare that. Look, I don't necessarily agree with it, and this is me being a bit of a politician here, but I don't necessarily agree with the fact that
sex performer, I guess,
a performer. So you could think of it as being a
a stripper's not a hooker.
Well, but it's like a digital prostitute, isn't it? That's what it is. You're not having sex with her, but I mean, it's almost like a porn star.
Yeah, she's making you come, basically.
Right. Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's your decision.
Bro, sorry.
But basically, my point is that, like, in terms of you're asking about like what I see, what's happening is that like whatever you're selling, people are desperately trying to figure out, how do I actually get a direct relationship with people who are buying my shit, who are into, like, whether people who like my book, because like, for example, I do these 10 tweets every day. Monday to Friday, I do 10 new tweets every day, and they're often salacious and a little cheeky. I did one on Friday where it was like, it was a quote. It was like, "We're just kids having fun." That was like, "Look at us, we're just kids having fun." And then the quote was attributed to like me and my 30-something mates with our early greys and dad bods as we throw the dead hooker into a sack and then over the bridge into the river.
Oh shit!
And then so it was kind of just like a play on like, we're just having fun, but you're boys you haven't grown up. And so I woke up this morning, Instagram had been like, we've removed your story because it contravened our guidelines.
You're not allowed to talk about dead hookers.
Dead hookers, evidently. And so I was like, well, that's a perfect example where it's like, I wasn't purposefully trying to like go outside the lines of Instagram. I was just saying whatever. It was just a dumb tweet.
But at the same time, the way I look at it, you're just trying to get a bit of clout.
I'm just having fun.
To get hits, man. That's what basically.
No, but I wasn't doing that to be like, yeah, this might like offend someone. I was just like, yeah, this is what I want to write about. This is what's in the book. This is what I'm doing. And so people could argue. I'm not even saying this because I don't.
Well, I guess you're kind of saying that you're being childish, but you're also doing something very serious that you're not aware of.
My point is that if I keep doing what I want to do, just saying shit that's in the book, then Instagram might finally say, no, enough's enough, you're out. And I might be like, how else do I connect with people who want to read my shit?
That's fucked up.
And if they're the only game in town and people are on Instagram who aren't following me on Twitter and I can't get to them, so I'm actually not even, it's the whole like, should Trump be deplatformed type of argument. And basically what I'm saying is that I think that like, if Instagram is a private entity.
Trump is the best thing America ever had, man.
We'll get to that in a second. But basically, my point is that like, if Instagram's
got my ratings. If
Instagram's the only game in town, then I get kicked off, then it's kind of like, well, I'm actually going to lose out because I can't connect with these people.
Yeah.
So that's how self-censorship happens, because you're like, but to answer your question from before, I think that's the massive thing that everyone is trying to do is like, okay, if I do something online, how do I do it directly with people versus like having to use a marketplace or having to use some type of provider that has power over me in some capacity.
Yep.
So
yeah, 100%.
That's a big question mark. I don't know what the answer is.
It's funny you should say that, Thommy, because there's so many different platforms that have opened up since everyone's kind of understood that Facebook Incorporated and Twitter to an extent too have kind of had this line on what is acceptable speech. And the problem with it is they keep moving kind of the goalposts of what's acceptable on their platform. And that directly affects the user base of people like yourself that might say something that's slightly controversial, maybe a little bit polarizing, in order to kind of, identify and try and hone down on exactly what it is that you're selling. So it's a huge problem because, in order to connect authentically with an audience, you have to go where the crowd is. And because the crowd is monopolized in a certain, stadium, so to speak. Yeah, it just becomes a little bit strenuous. But it's annoying to me because there's so many different platforms that have opened up since this has been a common online conversation about like if there could be a new Twitter, if there could be a new Facebook. None of them really take off because you get the dregs of society that just kind of like shit on it and it becomes like 8chan.
Yeah. Well, yeah, but I guess the thing that I've been wondering about recently is that like Twitter, Facebook, I guess the whole Trump thing, and that's a good thing to go into, is that like people are saying banning Trump on Twitter is basically like equivalent of like banning Trump to use like a telephone or something. Like people consider social media platforms as almost like the household utilities that everyone should have access to, whether you're a fucking rapist or murderer or whatever. And so, but the thing I've been wondering about is that like the positioning of like Facebook or Twitter as like town squares, and it's like everyone should be able to come here and like communicate with each other. And it's like, to be honest, a town square is a really shitty place to communicate. Yeah. Like if you go down to
it's a bad metaphor.
If you go into the CBD of Perth, it's just a bunch of fucking manic street preachers yelling shit, people getting their shopping. It's like, it's not a good place to communicate. And so people like echo chambers. People like hanging out with other people who kind of like share their views, and you can kind of like be in a comfortable zone.
It's unfortunate though.
But the thing is, I think it's inevitable. So I think that we're in this like early phase of digital communication where we think that like, yeah, wouldn't it be nice, this kind of like hippie ideal where we could all like get along nicely in a town square? You're not going to it's not going to fucking work.
No.
You can't do it in public. Why would you think you could do it online?
I think we're only as fast as our slowest swimmers, boys.
All right, here we go. Here comes the eugenics. Who we taking out first?
No. I'm just saying, like the people that are protesting and yelling, and you look at these guys that go around with cameras, and let's just say it's a protest for anything. What's a normal major thing that people protest?
Today there was
Black
thousands.
Lives Matter.
Today there was thousands of people in terms of the border stuff, the hard border.
There you go.
Okay, let's take the hard border. So it's a bunch of angry people rallying together, enthusiastic. But what the fuck have they solved? Are they doing anything?
Okay, I like that. You know why? Because humans are piece of shit, man. And I say this on fucking mic because I believe it, man. You know why?
Hey, I'm not
the same people who fucking riot are the same people who vote for the politicians. You want to talk about politics, man? We can go deep into it, man. There's a lot of shit that happens with human beings.
I respect anyone. No, I respect anyone that does vote because I come from.
Then don't vote for something without giving it a chance to grow.
Yeah,
but you want to vote for something. You want to plant a seed, man?
But what I'm saying is, society is only as fast as your slower swimmers. Like you are, you've always got this level of society that's holding you back. You need this part of a challenged society, so people can question the ideas of a right wing ideology or a left wing ideology or science or religion, and can come to an agreement and cross. Almost contaminate ideas, but you always have these stupid fucking rattlers that make a lot of noise and get a lot of power.
The ideologues, interestingly enough, and you probably already know this, Tommy, the ideologues on both left and right of the political spectrum seem to call anyone that is outside the general kind of Overton window, they call them like a heretic, you know?
Yeah.
So they'll call them against the religion. That's when I say heretic, it literally just means like a person that's so deeply embedded in their own ideology that they view their ideology, their worldview as acceptable thought and speech.
Yeah, I think that all this like censorship stuff has been happening for a fucking long time.
Yeah.
Great work, by the way, straight out of the book.
No, but I don't want to quote.
Let's go.
I don't want to quote 2010 because tonight we're drinking from the bottle.
Hey, guys, by the way, don't forget to like and comment and subscribe. And please share if you like us.
Please comment who do you think the slowest swimmers are in society?
And also comment if Mason is a fucking simp or not.
No, but who do you think your slowest swimmer? My personal belief, the slowest swimmers in society are the people that make massive radical decisions without being properly educated.
I would say the Jews. Just kidding. So I went straight with just kidding. No. So basically,
don't worry, the Jews would laugh at that.
I would all the shit that's been happening with censorship and stuff in the digital world caught you off guard. all the stuff that's happening in the digital world with the censorship, that's been happening for fucking ever, right? With the church and like you were saying that like someone gets to decide what is acceptable or not. People have been doing that for fucking millennia. I think the difference that we're facing now is that people have like a very individualized notion of reality, because what your Facebook feed is very different to mine, and same on Instagram or Twitter or whatever. So it's like people are being manipulated, and it comes back to commerce essentially. Like I don't think there's an insidious fucking new world order with Bill Gates with his little reptilian cock trying to fuck everyone.
Yeah, I've seen all that shit. Yeah,
but I don't think it's that. I think it's more just a case of like they're trying to move you from here to here, which involves you putting your credit card details into something, and so that means that it's effective and it's addictive, and so we can't. In church, when the priests try to tell you some bullshit, at least you were getting all the same bullshit. Now we're getting kind of like different flavors of bullshit that suits your own kind of like peculiar mental state.
Yeah, but I think that makes people very angry as well, because you're getting 100%. One side of bullshit and then you get the other side of bullshit, and then people that aren't educated to make normal decisions and go, look, this is something that I want to look into deeply. Okay, I've learned one thing. Okay, why has that one thing happened? Let's look into that. Let's dig further, and I think that's why people are making massive mistakes where ideology almost isn't making sense anymore. There's a lot of situations. We live in a world now where I'm not even that old. I'm young enough to still understand the new movement and kind of understand that people are sick of
cancel culture.
Well, yeah.
They're sick of the traditional format. You're basically saying that they're done with the ideology of
but the extremism where it's like it doesn't make sense anymore. So if you I saw a video of a guy. He goes, I identify as woman. He's just this like massive fucking dude, and he goes, would you mind if I? And he goes into a college campus, and he goes, would you mind if I shared a bathroom with you? She was like, no, I wouldn't mind that whatsoever. I'm completely comfortable with you being a woman. And he's like, thanks. Would you mind if obviously I shared a bathroom with a young girl? And she was like, oh. And that's where you kind of have to draw the line, man. When people are so crazy that it actually doesn't make any sense.
But the thing is, the thing I wonder about in terms of kind of like the whole like what's happening on college campuses in terms of people being like overly sensitive and all that shit. I wonder if it's just people with some fucking maybe I'm dating myself here, but when in my high school years, there was like the emo phase where everyone had the fucking cowlick fringes. So that was fucking, so that was a big thing.
So this is like a new age emo.
Yeah, pretty much.
Emo Green Day.
It is largely a fashion statement.
So people, because so it's pretty much. So basically, instead of listening to the U's and saying "I'm melting," they're basically being like "I'm trans," and so it looks more threatening. Where you're like, "Fuck!" Like you're just you're a guy who runs a fucking fish and chip shop, and you're like, "Am I gonna have to build a fucking third bathroom?" Like you're like, you think there's gonna be societal implications, and you're like, "No, cunt, it's just fucking emo. It'll be done in 4 years, relax."
Yeah.
Have you seen the fucking?
Yeah, that was a funny.
It's crazy stuff.
Tommy, just the way that your head fucking works is insane, man.
That's actually brilliant. You
read the book. Any day you can die. Well, back to front. There you go.
Bro, you've made two massive points that have changed my fucking whole mindset. This.
Oh, you're easy to manipulate, dude. You're with me now. Let's do it. Let's change the world.
You made two very good points that I found very, very interesting. The one is the emo thing.
Yeah,
I found that absolutely fascinating. And you know what? The way you simplify everything is very interesting. So you will come across something and you go, this is a lot easier said than done. Here's why. And you make it very easy to understand. I think that's why you must be very charismatic in your writing.
Well, but I guess the point is that if you're seeing something on the news, they're telling you something for a reason. Like there's an angle there. Like I guess, that's probably the thing that like, I don't know. I'm not a conspiracy theorist at all. The next book is actually going to be kind of like exploring conspiracy theories in more detail and kind of like just kind of like uncovering the people who propagate those theories and kind of like what their intentions are and kind of like the machinations of the world and all that shit. But I basically think that like there is a way outrage culture is absolutely insane now. And so I think that like you can say, you know, like the whole thing in terms of like being afraid to like use free speech and stuff like that. I think that like you should push it to the limit. Like you should say what you want to do it as long as your intentions are pure. You're not trying to like fucking step on anyone's toes. And because I genuinely believe all this like cancel culture stuff and kind of like people trying to like rat each other out, it is just a phase and it will kind of like pass. So I think that you may as well just live your life. And when you encounter something in the media that's telling you that like the world is changing in a fundamental way, it's like you're probably just trying to sell some fucking clicks.
It's ad revenue. Like when it comes to the media these days, and everyone knows this, it's funny. Like you just have to look at a perfect example of this is when Trump was the president of the United States, CNN, MSNBC, all these media outlets had huge ratings because they kept on reporting on Trump and how poorly he was doing, how much of an idiotic moron he was from their point of view. And then as soon as he got out, it's like, well, what do we talk about? I mean, Joe Biden looks like he's about to freaking sleep all the time.
Yeah, he sucks.
He probably came too hard, he'd fucking get a heart attack.
Oh, he sucks.
But that's the thing is that when Trump took office, I was actually in the States the night Donald Trump took office. I was living in New York, heavily blue state, incredibly Hillary supporting state. And me and the missus were like watching the percentage thing go up all day and like towards Trump. And we're like, what the fuck? It was like after, like, this is going to sound wrong, but like after 9/11, it's the most compelling media coverage I've ever watched. Not in terms of great or like woohoo, but just being like, what the fuck is happening with the world? 9/11 number one, Trump number two, because it was like insane just watching it unfold. And I was afraid to leave my apartment in Brooklyn that night because I was like, this seems like a wild choice, and I'm not sure how this city and state is going to deal with it. And then nothing really like the next day, like people on the newspaper, this is an outrage, blah blah blah. Nothing really changed from day to day. I didn't see any hate crimes happen, but like it was basically, and then so basically those were the Trump years, and then of course there was like shit that happened because of Trump, but like the average person in their day-to-day life, did they see anything? Not too sure. Probably not. And then likewise with Joe Biden, seems like a fucking sleepy old cunt, but it does it change much in terms of how things work?
In terms of the amount of people that the guy could just champion to just watch the man speak. Insane. But for a politician, it's absolutely insane. The amount of people out at these rallies.
Just the front, like these Trump and the guys who are the back are the ones who control the world, you know.
But what billionaires? But what's confusing?
The moguls, the monopolies, you know, those multinational companies that run shit, man.
I've always been confused by that though, because you think about Trump.
This world is only being controlled by 150, and it sounds a bit fucked up, but they're all men. There are 150 of them, and they're all powerful men, as the world that we live in, man. It's basically controlled by a small group of people, an intelligent, elite group of people who know what they're doing.
So here's a question for you, though. If they're actually in charge, why would they let Trump be the president?
Pump and dump kind of scenario I give you. Okay, when you have a stock, right?
Shit.
You go in IPOs, you go in...
So they went full Elon Musk with the
Elon Musk. He's not. You cannot put Elon Musk in a position of politics.
No, I'm saying he does pump and dump with Tesla shares, though, right?
Not really. I don't think so. He still owns.
Dude, that company is so overvalued.
Bro, but he's
so overvalued.
Overvalued doesn't mean that
100% overvalued.
Listen, Mason. He still owns it. He still owns it.
100%
He's still there, man. I tell you what pump and dump means, man.
It's cars.
So it goes.
Use it in the example of Trump, though, so I want to understand him.
Trump is a businessman. He manifested this 15 years ago that he wanted to be the US president. And he made it, you know.
He kept saying
though.
That's
what I'm saying. He is the best thing that America ever happened because he was one person who never gave a fuck. Nobody could control him because he was already a billionaire. You know what I mean? Nobody was holding him accountable for anything. But his actions were a little bit different from the normal world. But if you look at it, he brought manufacturing back to Detroit cities. And the cities which were dying was starting to see life and starting to see prosperous ventures in manufacturing.
Yeah, but
Michigan State. No, listen.
Okay.
He stopped third-party companies like Toyota to import, like to bring their cars into US by 80% by bringing in the tariffs, and he made the manufacturing of United States automobile industry increase. This is what Trump did. If he was given another term, another 5 years, there would be a lot of things that could have done. I understand that he said a lot about Latinos and Mexicans. Let me finish.
But what Thommy was
asking...
Let
him finish.
About like the black community and about the Latinos.
I don't think
Hispanics.
he ever said anything about
about the walls and the Mexican wall. But even if you think about it, right? You as an Australian, I'm not an Australian, so I'm just an outsider looking in. I'm just saying, imagine 10 million people or 5 million people next year just showed out from fucking nowhere in Australia.
Yeah.
Now, suddenly the economy goes down because we cannot balance the budgets because there's an increase of random fucking alienated immigrants in our country and we cannot control it because now we have to have more money. Now we're in more debt. The people who really need the money then have it. Just fucking commotions, man. So that is why when you look at it in perspective of economics, the macro and microeconomics perspective of Donald Trump, he's not a stupid guy. To be in his position, you must have a lot of credibility. You must have a lot of knowledge. You must have a lot of insights about a lot of things that a normal human being does not have.
Yeah, but
people like Hillary Clinton or Joe Biden, they don't.
Yeah.
They don't stand a chance.
But he is very, very good business minded because obviously it would have been bled into him since he was
why do you
a young
think India is doing so well?
It's not even business.
but
It's more marketing. It's more the self-promotion,
Amazing
PR.
marketing.
But he's just one of those people that says dumb shit and it takes off.
Yes,
it's like
he's
Kanye.
a punk. He's like a punk.
Same shit. You know what I mean?
But
Like
he controls the industries.
But
yeah, exactly.
But I was curious because Tommy's line of questioning was asking you, Kashan, about billionaires. You were saying there was a certain group of billionaires that run the world.
Yeah, why did they let Trump
What
in?
was in their self-interest to promote Trump? That's what we're saying.
To be honest, I don't know about that. I don't know about that.
That was the question.
5
I don't
minutes
know
ago,
about
you were
that.
feeling pretty confident.
I don't know about that, but if you look at it, I don't think Trump really wanted to tax the rich people.
No.
Biden does.
Yeah, look, I mean, I think
we can talk about taxes. We can talk
But
about
hang on,
all these things.
but then
But
you're
maybe
like,
Kashan's
they're
got
in
a point.
control. If the extremely rich people are in control, why would they let Biden in then?
Yeah, but maybe Kashan's got a point. Maybe he's right about the pump and dump because everything is trial and error. These guys can't foresee the future. They know exactly what's going to happen.
My point is that no one knows what's going on.
Yeah.
And someone like Trump,
and this even me, I'm just speculating.
Yeah,
Too
sure.
much of a wild card.
deriving.
but I'm not saying that the fucking people who go to that island and put feathers on their heads and fucking fuck coconuts for fun. Whatever happens on that weird island with Epstein was like, you can have the kids over here or the coconuts over here.
What?
Whatever goes, like all that shit. Those people, right, they're just fucking nerds who somehow ended up with billions of dollars, and so they like need to let off some steam. I think that they are definitely like buddied up and kind of like they converse with one another. But
You mean like the Bohemian Groove kind of meetup?
yes,
Like that
those
kind of stuff,
cunts
yeah.
where the Alex Jones was sneaking in and all that shit. But like, I think that those people are definitely powerful, but they're flawed. Like, look at Jeff Bezos. Have you seen some of the he was simped out with that chick where he was like, some of the text he sent that girl, it's just like, dude, that is the richest guy or the second richest
That's the
guy
most
in the
powerful
world.
guy in the world. But to be fair, I mean,
First of all,
I'm pretty
he's
sure
not.
everyone in this room could beat the shit
Yeah,
out
I
of
don't
Jeff
believe
Bezos.
that. I don't believe that for a second. Kashan raises a valid point. Like, for people that we know that are publicized in terms of world's wealth, Bezos is up there. But there's so many like richer men out there,
guys.
In the world.
Well, the Middle East
net worth
in general,
net
right?
worth is so much different to what you're actually worth.
But irrespective of like how much money people actually have, but when it comes down to it, I think that the world is actually incredibly random and complex. And someone like Trump, he already had an established media profile. He's been fucking famous since like the 70s, like the mid 70s. So people know who he is. Yeah. America's a pretty simple place. They like celebrities. They like people who talk shit. And they were kind of like, why don't we get a reality TV guy in there? Let's see what happens. It was kind of like an experiment.
Part that seemed crazy, but then when he started to actually make moves and create jobs and had the balls to do some of the shit that he did. Didn't he take out
I'm saying it on record.
A Middle Eastern terrorist via drone because everyone else was like, we can't do anything about it. He's like, let me show you. Let me show you what America's all about.
They all do that though. Like Obama killed tons of people in the exact same way. Basically, I think it comes down to a simple thing. People were like, when Trump got in office, they were like, is this going to be this the start of celebrities running for office and winning? We're going to have all these, like, Kanye's going to be next, then it's going to be Nicki Minaj.
Yeah, but then you got that's when you got a serious fucking problem. But if those people start going into power, just say Slim Shady becomes the president of and he's going, no more blood for oil. We got to run like that.
Let me finish.
But the problem is it goes, it's trial and error. However, if you let's just say he does that song Mosh about fuck Bush, all that shit, right? In the Slim Shady, no, not Slim Shady, but Eminem show. Yeah. He gets political. They go Eminem for power. Yeah, he seems like a smart guy, and he starts being really articulate, and he becomes the fucking president, right?
Never happening.
I hope not. I kind of think that might be a trial and error thing. They went, okay, let's give. I mean, it could be completely wrong. This is just conspiracy and speculation. But they go, let's put Trump and let's see what happens. Holy fuck, people voted for him. Holy shit.
No, but
now we know that we can put anyone in there. But that person that's in there, how much do they have control? Or are they like? You're a puppet on a string,
They're the boss. They're the fucking the boss of a football team. They're the coach of a football team.
But they don't own the company. Yeah. 100%.
Yeah, well, no, but it's like you can only do so much. You can be like, try and kick to the wing or something. But like, it's up to the players to do what they're going to do. It's private industry that runs the world. They're going to and basically my point is that Trump got elected is because he was a star, and he was a star that wore a suit. People saw him.
he fucking cheated, man. That's why he got elected.
What do you mean?
Cambridge Analytica, man. He fucking cheated, man.
No, but basically,
no. He marketed. He basically took people's personal data and directly marketed at the person.
Sure.
Cambridge Analytica is a big scandal, man.
But I'm not disputing that. Basically, what I'm saying
is that wrong though?
No,
I don't think so.
If you had the power to win the election,
I don't think so.
We're not.
But it's not because he just had a suit, man. Because he played his cards well.
What I'm saying is that we're not in a danger of any other like reality or celebrity getting in unless they wear a suit, unless they're presented as someone who is like a businessman or like someone like
a decision maker.
Because it was like an easy thing for Americans to be like, "You're fired." The dude who said that, they were like, "Oh, that guy seems like a boss." It was like a very simple equation.
50 years' time, the bar has lowered substantially since the past 30 years. The amount of shit that people used to get away with back then to now the normal working class is fucking horrific compared to the 1950s. We don't know where we're going to be in 2020.
But annoyingly, you have to like view Trump as this kind of like populist figure, mate, because if you think about all the modern day politicians that have been in politics for a long portion of their lives, like the second portion of their life, they had a career, they got into politics. A lot of them are indirect representations of a population, which means that the relatability between a politician and the common man is kind of out of whack. And I really do feel it. The fact that Trump wasn't a politician to begin with was a little bit more relatable than some man that was telling you about economic policy.
And but he acted like a fucking maniac when he was in there.
Crazy.
So that was entertaining, right?
But people got to understand what he was saying instead of going speaking in very complex. I mean, a lot of the people that are the working class,
it's just false and all that shit. But even still, it's like, well, first of all, he is an upper class guy. His dad was a fucking multi-millionaire, gave him all this money
in the world,
and so he was just a fucking clown. He was just someone who was like aggressively argumentative and would say like wild shit. He was a stand-up comedian,
playing
basically.
a character.
And so
shit,
that's kind of like a strange, like for me from the outside looking in, I was living in South America, so I was like a safe distance, I felt like, but my American friends were embarrassed and they were afraid that this guy was going to incite like some type of civil war or something.
I can agree with that. I think like one of my favorite Trump things he does is like, I got coronavirus, but I'm cured. I could kiss that guy right there. I could kiss that guy. And he's making a political speech and talking about kissing blokes. I'm like,
my favorite
that's so funny.
To be clear, not a Trump fan.
Funny.
He said some hilarious shit. My top two is when in the election cycle, when he was talking about the Mexican president, it was like, yeah, there's not going to be a wall. He's like, let me tell you folks, the wall just got 10 feet higher. So that's number one.
Sounded like
and the next one was, it was like post deplatforming.
Yeah.
So this is one where it was just like he came out to the conservative after Joe Biden had like took office and stuff.
Yeah.
And he was like, you know what? I might run again in 2024 and win for a third time. So he's basically saying that,
we won
I won in 2016, 2020, and I'll win in 2024. I was like, you motherfucker. This guy is running again 100%.
Yeah.
And because it's like, it's not a case of like intention. It's like, it's the way the show has to go. It's like the trilogy.
I think
it's an entertainment thing rather than like personal.
I think he is
interest.
quite funny, but like
it's not going to be personal when China
would be.
starts taking over shit. I mean, they've already started. We're already learning how to speak Chinese in many languages. So, I mean, US right now, it sucks, man. It's nothing in my eyes. Right now, the Asian community has everything.
Well,
and that's where all the innovation is happening.
The only reason they pump so much money into their military is to stay civil. You know what I mean? Haven't they got the biggest military in the entire world? The United States.
United States.
That's how much money they're just constantly. I think I don't remember the
to
stats,
stay
man.
civil. What do you mean, like in terms of like acting nice with other countries?
To keep a state of power and hey, look, don't fuck with us.
But
if you have that big of a military and that much experience, a lot more experience than China and a lot of these other countries, but some of the budgets that are going into like certain countries is only like some of the big superpowers that you think of. The budget that actually goes into those superpowers, which is billions and billions of dollars, is only half of that goes into the American. And that's a massive way in how they're keeping a grip and being able to control.
I think they're losing. I kind of agree with Kishan in the fact that, like, in terms of globally, if you look at the world, like the world's most strong like nation, you'd have to say that China.
Are you talking military-wise or
just
economics?
Everything.
Well, then economics, it has to be China all the way.
That's
but
what I'm getting at.
I mean,
what do you mean cultural relevance?
No. I was talking in that context. I was talking strictly military and iron fist. If you're talking economy, there's plenty of other countries that have. You have to create in order to supply. In order to supply, you need to. That's the only way that keeps the economy running, by send and receive and take. But it's. Do I think that dictatorship is not really. More
communism is not dictatorship.
No. Sorry, that's what I meant. I meant communism, but I mean they're kind of heading towards a little bit more socialism now. But what I'm saying is that doesn't necessarily make you the strongest, because in my eyes, I don't think communism is the number one thing that's going to win.
Civil obedience. Like if you're thinking about like collectively a group of people within a country that are obedient to a common cause, bro, China's got it.
We're talking about like hate watching and kind of.
Not really. If you're talking about cultural obedience, then North Korea's got 100%.
No,
because they don't really have a fucking choice.
That's oppression. You're looking at China, man. China is not oppressed, man. You know, 700. You know, China.
I know that China's not oppressed.
1.4 billion people. Let me just put them statistics. America, 350 million people is the population, roughly. China, even if you look at the 700 million people have a buying, spending power middle class, like me and you.
Yeah.
Do you know what that is, man? That is crazy. That's twice the population of America who are middle class. No poverty in that line.
Oh, fuck me.
There's a lot of money in that country, bro.
Yeah,
America owes money to China.
Isn't that that's basically the whole like anti-China rhetoric. Like that statistic is used to be like, that's why we have the gig economy. That's why we have outsourcing and stuff like that, because we have a rising kind of like lower middle class in China who's willing to do the world's jobs essentially and kind of like deal with all that shit. And I don't necessarily buy into it. I think that like there's tons of mitigating forces, and I think that's one of them. And I'm not going to be anti-Chinese just because they've got tons of people.
No, I'm not anti-Chinese. I'm just saying economy. That in terms of a global powerhouse, that America has slipped a little bit. But I think that's because of a common.
They've started but that's a common. What do they say? What was that saying that Joseph said the other day? And this basically sums all of that up. Joseph, mate, that was sitting here.
Didn't speak much.
Mary's husband,
no,
father of Jesus.
He said that hard times. No, what was it? Hard times make.
Hard men.
I only saw
I don't. Yeah, no.
Hard times make strong men. Good. Yeah. I don't know. I know what you mean.
What I'm trying to say, though,
basically
right?
It's this cycle where it's like you turn into a weak bitch, turn into a simp.
Yeah.
What is this?
We all know that one simp.
What is this? What is this?
Hit a like, subscribe, and share, and comment.
I wish I knew that fucking quote right now because it would sound really good. But I think everyone's probably watched the Joe Rogan Experience who's watched this. I think it's hard times make. Is it hard times make strong men? Strong men make easy times. Yeah. Easy times make
weak men.
Weak men make hard times.
Yeah. Done.
And that's exactly what
poetry.
That is exactly what America is becoming ultimately, because we haven't had war, we haven't had massive. What our grandparents who have made those hard times have made really, because that would have been one of the hardest times to get drafted and have to go off to war and fight. And one day your loved one comes home. That shit is power, man. That shit is masculinity to a T. Do I think it's a good thing? No, but do I think defending, a belief that is potentially extremely holocaustic, is that a word? Holocaustic?
Holocaustic. It should be.
That should be a word.
I'm gonna fucking use it. That's my next book.
But do you see exactly my point?
This shit was holocaustic, bro.
But do you see exactly my point? And we're living in a time now where we haven't had that. We haven't had the Gulf War or the Korean War or the Vietnam War. We haven't. Or we've had the Afghanistani and everything in the Middle East. But there is no type of there's no real pain and hardship except for
COVID.
Well, normal things that happen every day today in modern society, in capitalist society. And it's extreme racism on both ends and blowing fucking rape whistles and saying that I identify myself as a pansexual attack helicopter. It doesn't make any fucking sense now, bro. And I think that is coming across to the rest of the world as a very weak.
I think there's also a distinguishing factor between everything you said, which is absolutely accurate, Kate. Like props, that's true. But also there's a dividing line between real life, what people will say online to appease the masses, and what is actually true.
Yeah.
Like for example, you take a person that's transgender among their friends.
Oh shit.
You take that person and you talk to them on an individual level, you'll get the real version of them.
Oh yeah, 100%.
You'll get versus what they'll say to appease their friends.
Well, I mean, I guess that's with every single different person. It doesn't matter who you are, but you get a lot more of a. But if you're talking radicalism, which seems to be the popularity, which seems to be the emo craze of nowadays, which is what you were saying, which is like that's really fucking blown my mind. Like that's one of the most interesting things I've heard in a very long time. And I've heard a lot of interesting stuff lately, but that was really good. And that's how I'm just going to simplify that for myself. Maybe it's just a phase. Maybe it creates fucking right-wing radicalism. We don't know. But
I've never met one.
What, a right-wing?
An emo?
No, a right-wing radicalist. I've only seen people comment online, but I think it's almost like a joke.
Nah, you do get like racist Nazis and shit.
Like identitarians that believe like white people are better than everyone else. That
but they're pieces of shit. I mean, what?
But to your point though, have you met one though? Like
I've never met one. Actually, no, I actually never have. I don't think many people have.
I've never met a self-identified one. Like that's why.
Avatar.
Yeah, that's
or maybe
why
one that gives vibes. I guess.
Yeah, potentially. Like when you saw like the. Few weeks back, there was those like protests in Melbourne where there was like a bunch of dudes like punching on with the coppers, and I was like,
sounds like a Saturday night in Northbridge, mate.
Yeah, but this was more kind of like, fucking Australia first, Southern Cross out, and I was like, well, you are walking amongst us, but you do kind of keep it in your pants, metaphorically speaking, like in everyday life, and I guess that's how kind of like, pre the fucking war, Nazis were probably going to have to like keep it in their pants somewhat.
I mean, like a lot of that is like censorship as well, which I mean, nowadays a lot of censorship is that with your smile on your face, which is a similar ideology. But I mean, I don't want to go into that shit too much because I think we're done, man. Sinead came in and was like,
we've been ranting for my bladder is fucking.
Yeah, same, man. I was like,
I'm about to go to the toilet too.
Let's cross swords, baby.
That's it. All right, guys. Thank you so much for watching Wilkoz World.
Buy my book.
You. Buy Tommy's book. It is really good to have you, Thommy. So thank you so much.
Thanks, dude. Lots of fun.
It's been good, Mason, as always, and Kishan. We love you, baby. We love you. Cool. Thanks, guys. Like and subscribe, Wilkoz World. Peace.
And share.
Yeah. I gotta piss so bad.
Yeah. Me too.
Well, I'm gonna be
Sinead! Oh man.
You guys, that was a good chat, eh?
Yeah.